The grand chamber of the First Fleet flagship fell silent as Dr. Ju Park's image appeared on the main view screen. Her small vessel had no right to be there, floating in space before the most powerful warship in the known galaxy. The crew of various alien species stared in disbelief at the primitive human craft. Admiral Tejo's forearms tensed as he studied the human female. Her gray hair was pulled back severely from her weathered face, and her eyes held a confidence that puzzled him. Humans were not supposed to have hyperspace technology. Their planet had been under observation for centuries, classified as a developing world unready for contact. "Scan that vessel again," he ordered his science officer, Kehoe, a blue-skinned being with elongated fingers that danced across the control panel. "Sir, the readings are consistent. It's definitely from Earth. The hull is composed of materials from their planet. But there's something else. Energy signatures I can't identify." The Admiral chittered softly, a sign of unease in his species. The hegemony had ruled unchallenged for 10,000 years. Their science was absolute. Their understanding of physics was complete, or so they had believed. "I am Dr. Ju Park of Earth," the human said again, her voice calm but firm. "Your surveillance of our world has not gone unnoticed. We have allowed it because we were busy with more important matters." Tahoe's mandibles clicked. "Allowed? Human, your species has no means to detect our observation posts. They employ technology beyond your comprehension." Dr. Park smiled slightly. "We detected them 300 years ago, Admiral. We simply had more pressing concerns at the time." The bridge crew exchanged glances. This was impossible. Earth's most advanced technology was barely into the atomic age when last assessed. "I have been sent as Earth's messenger," Dr. Park continued. "I come with proof of our capabilities and terms for peaceful coexistence." Kehoe looked up from his instruments, his face pale. "Admiral, I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations around the human vessel. The space-time fabric itself seems to be responding to it." "Responding?" Tahoe moved closer to the screens. "That's not possible." Dr. Park reached for something off-screen. "Perhaps a small demonstration is in order." Before Tahoe could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. The massive dreadnought, nearly 2 kilometers in length, shuddered. "We're moving," shouted the navigation officer. "The ship is being displaced." Tahoe gripped his command chair. "Full reverse thrusters." "Thrusters not responding, sir." The panic in the officer's voice was evident. "Nothing is responding." On the screen, Dr. Park watched calmly as the hegemony's flagship was effortlessly moved 3 light minutes from its original position in less than 10 seconds, a feat that violated every known law of physics. "What have you done?" Tahoe demanded when the ship finally stabilized. "We manipulated the fabric of reality around your vessel," Dr. Park explained simply. "What you call hyperspace is merely the surface of a much deeper cosmic structure. Humans have learned to access the layers beneath." Tahoe's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. Earth was a backward planet. Its people fought among themselves. They polluted their atmosphere. They had barely reached their own moon. "How?" he finally asked. "Necessity," Dr. Park replied. "While your hegemony spread across the stars with technologies developed over thousands of years of peace, humanity faced extinction dozens of times. We evolved rapidly, our minds adapting to each crisis. What took your species millennia, we accomplished in centuries." She pressed something on her console, and a data package transferred to the hegemony ship. "These are our terms, Admiral. The High Council has 24 hours to begin discussions." Kehoe examined the incoming data. "Sir, these are coordinates for a meeting in neutral space, and specifications for a technology we've never seen before." "A gesture of good faith," Dr. Park explained. "A small example of what we've discovered. Your scientists will find it enlightening." Tahoe studied the human woman carefully. There was no hostility in her expression, but the threat was clear. "And if we refuse these discussions, then we will proceed without you," she said simply. Earth has remained isolated long enough. We will take our place among the stars, Admiral Tayo. The only question is whether the hegemony will be our ally or become irrelevant. The Admiral bristled at the implied threat, but caution held his anger in check. The human ship had just moved his dreadnought as easily as a child might push a toy. "I will convey your message to the High Council," he said stiffly. Dr. Park nodded. "Thank you, Admiral. One more thing. The observation posts in our solar system have 3 days to withdraw beyond Neptune's orbit. After that, we will remove them ourselves." With those words, her ship began to shimmer, its outline blurring as if it were fading from reality itself. In moments, it was gone from both visual sensors and all scanning equipment. Kehoe stared at his instruments in disbelief. "It didn't engage an engine, sir. It just ceased to exist in our dimensional space." The Admiral sat heavily in his command chair. 10,000 years of hegemony dominance had just been challenged by a species they had dismissed as primitives. His mind struggled to process the implications. "Send word to the High Council," he ordered quietly. "Priority ultraviolet. Tell them everything has changed." As the message was dispatched, Admiral Tahoe gazed at the stars through the main viewport. For the first time in his 300-year life, he felt something unfamiliar, fear of the unknown. On Earth, in a simple laboratory built into a mountainside, Dr. Ju Park's consciousness returned to her physical body. She opened her eyes and looked at the faces of the Earth Defense Council gathered around her. "The message has been delivered," she said simply. "Now we wait." President Junot nodded gravely. "And if they choose conflict instead of dialogue?" Dr. Park glanced at the quantum matrix humming softly in the center of the room, the true source of humanity's impossible leap forward. "Then they will learn that humanity does not make empty threats," she said. "But I believe they are wise enough to choose a new beginning." The circular chamber of the hegemony's High Council gleamed with polished surfaces and ancient symbols of power. 12 beings, each representing a founding species of the 10,000-year-old Galactic Empire, sat in ornate chairs arranged around a central platform. The air felt heavy with tension as Dr. Ju Park stood alone, a small human figure surrounded by the assembled might of interstellar rulers. High Counselor Dury's crystalline body caught the light from overhead, sending rainbow patterns dancing across the walls. His normally smooth surface had developed tiny fractures, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. "Preposterous," he said, his voice like glass bells chiming. "The recordings from Admiral Tahoe must be fabricated. No technology could move an Imperial dreadnought instantaneously through space without engines." Dr. Park smiled slightly. "Yet it happened. Your flagship's logs confirm it." High Counselor Minho, the eldest among them, raised a gnarled hand. His species lived for millennia, and the patterns on his bark-like skin told of his great age. "We have ruled the stars since before your kind learned to make fire human. Our science has mapped every corner of reality." "Every corner you could see," Dr. Park corrected gently. She tapped the small device on her wrist. Above the council table, a hologram sprang to life. Complex equations and multi-dimensional models rotating slowly in the air. The counselors stared at the display, their reactions ranging from confusion to growing alarm. "What am I looking at?" asked Counselor Suma, her feathered crest flattening against her head. "The mathematical proof of what we call the Nexus Protocol," Dr. Park explained. She gestured, and a hologram expanded to show more details. "These equations describe how reality is structured in layers, like pages in a book. What you call normal space is just one page. Hyperspace is another. But there are many more pages, and between them, connecting points we call nexus nodes." Dury's crystalline form vibrated with disbelief. "This violates every fundamental law of physics we've established." "No," Dr. Park said firmly. "It extends those laws into dimensions your science has never explored." Minho leaned forward, his ancient eyes narrowing as he studied the equations. Unlike his colleagues, his expression showed growing comprehension rather than denial. "How did your species discover this?" he asked quietly. "You were primitive when we last assessed Earth, fighting wars over resources and ideology." Dr. Park's eyes grew distant for a moment. "Those wars taught us valuable lessons. When you face extinction repeatedly, you either evolve or perish." She walked slowly around the platform, making eye contact with each counselor in turn. "While your hegemony enjoyed peace and stability across thousands of worlds, humanity struggled on one increasingly damaged planet. Our resources dwindled. Our climate changed. Natural disasters multiplied. We faced plagues and famines." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Necessity drove us forward. What took your species millennia to develop, we achieved in mere centuries. The constant threat of extinction is a powerful motivator." "But this technology," Counselor Sume interjected, pointing at the hologram, "it would require energy sources beyond anything we've conceived." "Yes," Dr. Park acknowledged. "That was our first breakthrough. Understanding that reality itself contains unlimited energy. We don't generate power, we channel it from the spaces between dimensions." The council chamber grew very quiet as the implications became clear. The hegemony's military and economic might rested on their control of rare resources and energy production. If humans could access unlimited energy. Minho broke the silence. "You mentioned collapsed dimensional barriers. What exactly does that mean in practical terms?" Dr. Park's expression remained neutral, but her eyes hardened slightly. "It means we can move through space without ships, if necessary. Distance becomes meaningless. We can extract resources without mining. We can observe without being physically present." She tapped her wrist device again, and the hologram shifted to show a small object, a simple metal cube no larger than her palm. "This contains enough energy to power your entire capital world for a year. We've solved our resource problems permanently." Dury's voice became sharp. "If what you claim is true, your species represents a fundamental threat to galactic stability. The hegemony has maintained peace for 10,000 years by controlling resource distribution and technological advancement. Through suppression and force." Dr. Park countered. "How many emerging species have you guided into compliance? How many potential rivals have you subtly sabotaged? Earth was lucky. You deemed us too primitive to bother with direct intervention." Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. It was an unspoken truth that the hegemony maintained its dominance by ensuring no species developed technologies that might challenge their authority. Minho tapped his gnarled fingers against the table. "What do you want, human? Why come to us instead of simply using this power to take whatever you desire?" Dr. Park's expression softened. "Because despite our troubled history, humans have learned that cooperation achieves more than conflict. We don't want to replace the hegemony with human rule. We want to transform it into something better. A true alliance of equals." "Impossible," Dury snapped. "The lesser species aren't ready for such responsibility." "Who decided they were lesser?" Dr. Park asked quietly. "Who decided your founding species had the right to determine the destiny of all others?" An uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. "Tomorrow," Dr. Park continued, "I will demonstrate the full capabilities of the Nexus Protocol, not as a threat, but as proof that reality is far more wondrous and complex than your science has acknowledged. After that, Earth's representatives will present our proposal for a new galactic order." She stepped down from the platform, her small figure somehow seeming taller than when she had begun. 10,000 years is a long time to rule, counselors. Perhaps it's time for something new. As she left the chamber, the 12 most powerful beings in the galaxy sat in stunned silence, the hologram of impossible equations still rotating slowly above them. The test system was far from any inhabited worlds, a nameless collection of dead planets orbiting a red dwarf star. The hegemony flagship hung in space, a massive construct of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. Inside, the High Council and their top scientists gathered on the observation deck, their expressions tense as they watched the small human vessel through the vast viewport. High Counselor Dury paced nervously, his crystalline body reflecting the dim starlight. This is foolish. We should have brought more ships. Minho, the ancient counselor, shook his head. If what the human claims is true, 1,000 ships would make no difference. The main screen activated, showing Dr. Park standing alone on the bridge of her vessel. The simple room looked primitive compared to the hegemony's advanced technology. No holographic controls, no gravity manipulation fields, just basic metal and plastic. Your demonstration may proceed, Counselor Sumi announced formally, her feathered crest rigid with tension. Dr. Park nodded. Thank you for coming. What you're about to witness is a controlled application of the Nexus protocol. We could have demonstrated this in your home system, but we chose not to. Remember that. The implied threat wasn't lost on anyone present. Begin recording on all frequencies, ordered the chief scientist, a six-limbed being named Zhu. Full spectrum analysis. Dr. Park pressed a sequence of commands on her simple console. For several moments, nothing happened. Another human bluff, Dury muttered. Then every sensor on the hegemony ship went wild. Alarms blared, and the scientists rushed to their stations in panic. Impossible energy readings, shouted one. Gravitational waves off the scale, cried another. Through the viewport, they could see it forming, a perfect sphere of altered space, approximately 100 kilometers in diameter. The stars visible through this sphere appeared distorted, stretched and compressed in ways that defied normal physics. What is happening? Demanded Dury, his voice rising in pitch. Jihu stared at his instruments in disbelief. Within that sphere, the fundamental constants of physics are changing. The speed of light, gravitational constants, atomic binding forces, all shifting according to some pattern I can't understand. On the screen, Dr. Park remained calm. The effect is fully controllable and can be applied at any scale. We can target an area as small as a molecule or as large as a solar system. Minho's ancient eyes narrowed. What exactly are you doing, human? Creating a space where our rules apply instead of yours, she answered simply. Watch. The sphere began to pulse with soft light. Inside it, matter from a small asteroid that had drifted into the field began to change. The rock seemed to dissolve, then reform into complex geometric patterns that floated in perfect formation. The asteroid's atomic structure is being rearranged at will, Zhu reported, his voice barely a whisper. She's manipulating matter at the subatomic level without any apparent energy input. Dr. Park continued. For thousands of years, your science has understood reality as fixed and absolute. You discovered the laws of physics and worked within them. Humanity took a different approach. We asked, what if these laws are merely local conditions? What if reality itself is malleable? The asteroid fragments suddenly rushed together, fusing into a small, perfectly formed sphere that glowed with inner light. I've just converted simple rock into a self-sustaining fusion reactor, Dr. Park explained. No radioactive material, no complex containment fields, just rearranged matter operating under locally modified physical laws. Suma's feathers trembled. This defies everything we know about energy production. Precisely. Dr. Park nodded. Your civilization has built impressive technology, but always within the constraints of conventional physics. We discovered how to change those constraints themselves. She pressed another sequence on her console. The glowing sphere vanished, and the modified space began to contract. As it shrank, something new appeared at its center, a swirling vortex of light. Now a more practical demonstration, Dr. Park said. Transportation. Without warning, her image on the screen flickered and disappeared. Seconds later, alarms blared throughout the hegemony vessel. Security breach. Someone shouted, "The human is aboard." The doors to the observation deck slid open, and Dr. Park walked calmly into the room. She carried no weapons, wore no spacesuit or protective gear. She simply walked in as if she had always been there. Impossible, Dury whispered, backing away. Our shields are active. Our security fields are at maximum. Dr. Park smiled slightly. I didn't pass through your shields, counselor. I stepped around them. Through the space between spaces. Jiu approached her cautiously, scanning her with a handheld device. You're physically here, not a projection or hologram. Of course, she replied. Distance is largely an illusion once you understand how reality is structured. I can step from my ship to yours as easily as you walk from one room to another. Minho, less frightened than his colleagues, asked the question on everyone's mind. If you can do this, what stops you from simply appearing in our government centers, our military installations, our private homes? Dr. Park's expression grew serious. Nothing stops us, except our own ethical principles. We could have invaded your worlds without warning. Instead, we came openly, offering dialogue. She walked to the viewport and gazed at the stars. 10,000 years ago, your founding species created the hegemony to end conflict in this galaxy. You succeeded, but at a cost. Stagnation, control, the suppression of new ideas that might threaten your order. Turning back to face the council, she continued, humanity doesn't want to destroy what you've built. We want to transform it, to show you there are wonders beyond your imagining if you're willing to look past your certainties. And if we refuse? Dury asked, his voice hard despite his fear. Dr. Park sighed. Then we will proceed without you. Earth will share this knowledge with other species. Those your hegemony has deemed not ready for advancement. Those you've kept dependent on your technology and resources. The implication was clear. The hegemony's carefully maintained power structure would collapse. You're threatening us with chaos, accused Sumi. I'm offering you evolution instead of extinction, Dr. Park corrected. The universe is far larger and stranger than you've allowed yourselves to believe. Adapt or become irrelevant. That is the choice every civilization eventually faces. She touched a small device on her wrist, and a shimmering doorway appeared in the air beside her, a portal showing the bridge of her ship. Tomorrow, Earth's delegation will present our formal proposal for a new galactic order, one built on cooperation rather than control. I suggest you consider it carefully. With that, she stepped through the portal, which closed behind her with a soft whisper of displaced air. In the silence that followed, the 12 most powerful beings in the galaxy stared at the empty space where she had stood, the foundations of their 10,000-year rule crumbling beneath them. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly stretched for nearly a kilometer, its vast domed ceiling sparkling with artificial stars that matched the current galactic map. 5,000 seats arranged in rising tiers surrounded the central speaking platform. For the first time in 5 millennia, every seat was filled. Representatives from all species under hegemony rule had rushed to attend this emergency session. Some traveled for weeks to reach the assembly. The chamber buzzed with nervous energy and wild rumors. Is it true? A reptilian delegate whispered to his neighbor, the humans can bend space. I heard they appeared inside the High Council chambers without using doors, another replied. Right through the security shields. At the highest tier sat the 12 High Counselors, their expressions grim. Dury's crystalline form reflected the artificial starlight in fractured patterns, a sign of his continuing distress. Beside him, Ancient Minho watched the proceedings with calm, thoughtful eyes. A hush fell over the assembly as Dr. Ju Park walked to the central platform. She wore simple Earth clothing, a practical black jacket and pants, with no ornaments or status markers. Behind her stood 6 other humans, 3 men and 3 women, similarly dressed. They carried no weapons or devices, yet the most powerful beings in the galaxy regarded them with unmistakable fear. The prime speaker of the assembly, a towering insectoid being named Yuri, stepped forward. His exoskeleton gleamed with the traditional oils of his office, and his compound eyes reflected the light in prismatic patterns. This emergency session will now begin, he announced, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into the standard galactic language. The representative from Earth may address the assembly. Dr. Park looked around the vast chamber, taking in the thousands of alien faces watching her. Many were seeing the human for the first time. "Thank you for convening this session," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. "For too long, Earth has been isolated from the galactic community. Today, that isolation ends." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The terms of our proposal are simple. Earth demands recognition as a sovereign and equal power within this galaxy. We will not join your hegemony as subjects." A wave of muttering swept through the assembly. Several delegates rose to their feet in protest. "Furthermore," she continued, her voice cutting through the growing noise, "we require the immediate dismantling of all hegemony military installations within 50 light-years of our solar system. Your observation posts may remain, but they will be subject to regular inspections by human representatives." The muttering became shouts now. Prime Speaker Yuri raised all 4 of his arms for quiet, his exoskeleton rattling with agitation. "You cannot possibly expect the hegemony to accept these demands," he declared once the noise had subsided. "We have maintained galactic peace for 10 millennia. By suppressing advancement and diversity," countered Dr. Park, her voice level but firm. "By determining which species are worthy of contact and which should remain isolated. By deciding the fate of entire civilizations based on your own narrow criteria." She gestured to the vast chamber around them. "Look at this assembly. 5,000 years since the last emergency session. Why? Because real debate and change are discouraged. The hegemony presents itself as benevolent, but rules through control and fear." A delegate from a water world near the galactic core stood up. "The human speaks of what she does not understand. Before the hegemony, our ancestors knew only war and suffering. The 12 founding species brought order to chaos." Dr. Park nodded respectfully to the delegate. "And for that, they deserve the galaxy's gratitude. But 10,000 years have passed. The children have grown up, yet the parents still treat them as infants." One of the humans behind Dr. Park stepped forward, a tall man with dark skin. "I am Professor Kian, Earth's historian," he said. "We've studied your records. In the last 5,000 years, how many new species have been granted full assembly membership? How many have been allowed to develop technologies that might equal the founding 12? Uncomfortable silence followed his questions. Dr. Park continued, "Our third requirement is the immediate sharing of all hegemony technologies and scientific knowledge with all member species." This caused an uproar. Prime Speaker Yuri's clicking became so rapid that the translation system struggled to keep up. Madness. Total chaos would follow. Many species are not ready for advanced technology. Who decided they weren't ready? Dr. Park asked quietly, yet her voice somehow carried over the noise. Who benefits from keeping them dependent on hegemony supplies and protection? High Counselor Minho finally rose from his seat. The ancient being moved slowly to a speaking position, his bark-like skin showing the patterns of his immense age. The assembly fell silent in respect. "I have lived for over 4,000 years, he said, his voice deep and resonant. "I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I helped draft the original hegemony charter. And I must ask, have we become what we originally fought against?" Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. For a High Counselor to question the hegemony's methods was unprecedented. "The human speaks uncomfortable truths," Minho continued. "Our fear of change has led us to suppress innovation rather than guide it. We call it protection, but is it not control?" Counselor Dury stood as well, his crystalline form vibrating with emotion. "This is exactly the chaos humans wish to create. They offer us destruction wrapped as freedom." Dr. Park shook her head. "We offer you evolution instead of stagnation. The galaxy is changing whether you wish it to or not. Earth has discovered the Nexus Protocol, and we are not the only ones on the verge of such breakthroughs. Your policy of suppression is failing." Another member of the Earth delegation stepped forward, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. "I am Dr. Yunji, Earth's lead physicist. The Nexus Protocol isn't just a new technology. It's a fundamental shift in understanding reality itself. Such discoveries cannot be contained forever. Prime Speaker Yuri's compound eyes fixed on Dr. Park. And if we refuse your demands, will you use this protocol as a weapon against the hegemony? Dr. Park's expression remained calm, but her eyes hardened. We would prefer not to. But understand this. Earth will no longer accept isolation or subjugation. We will share our knowledge with any species who wishes to learn. We will defend ourselves if threatened, and we will not be the only ones to discover these principles. She gestured to the artificial stars above. The universe is vast beyond imagining. The hegemony's approach, controlling information, restricting development, maintaining artificial hierarchies, cannot work forever. Change is inevitable. The only question is whether you will help shape that change or be swept aside by it. The assembly hall fell into a heavy silence as thousands of delegates contemplated her words. After 10,000 years of stability, the foundations of galactic society were being challenged by creatures from a world many had never even heard of before today. In the highest tier, Minho and Dury locked eyes, one seeing opportunity where the other saw only threat. Between them, the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. In the vast expanse of space, a remarkable transformation had taken place. The once rigid hegemony had evolved into something entirely new, a galactic cooperative where different species truly worked together as equals. Dr. Park stood on the observation deck of Nexus Station, a massive space habitat orbiting Earth, watching the incredible scene unfolding before her. Beside her, Dury, a crystalline being who was once a powerful High Counselor, looked out at the bustling concourse below. Hundreds of alien species moved together, talking, trading, and sharing knowledge in a way that would have been impossible just one standard galactic year ago. I never thought this would work, Dury admitted, his form shimmering with starlight. His voice carried a mix of surprise and respect. Dr. Park smiled, understanding the depth of his statement. Humanity had approached interstellar politics differently. Instead of seeking domination or total submission, they had proposed a radical idea, a rotating council where every species, even those previously considered too primitive, would have a voice. Earth had surprised everyone by declining a leadership position. They wanted true equality, not another form of control. The grand concourse below demonstrated the success of this approach. Species that had been separated for thousands of years were now discovering they had more in common than they ever imagined. We learned that the best solutions happen when everyone gains something, Dr. Park explained. She remembered the long negotiations, the tense moments, and the breakthrough conversations that had led to this point. The station was a testament to this new way of thinking. Its design allowed for different atmospheric zones, gravity variations, and communication systems that accommodated the diverse needs of its inhabitants. Tentacled beings floated near reptilian delegates. Beings of pure energy conversed with carbon-based life forms. The diversity was breathtaking. Dury reflected on how dramatically things had changed. The old hegemony would have never allowed such free interaction. Protocols, restrictions, and strict hierarchies had controlled every interaction between species. Now those barriers had dissolved. Dr. Park's words echoed in the station's grand hall. Earth's final warning was really its first invitation. It was a profound statement that captured the essence of their diplomatic approach. Instead of threatening or demanding, they had extended an invitation to understand, to collaborate, to grow together. The station hummed with energy, not just the mechanical systems keeping it operational, but the vibrant exchanges happening between representatives from hundreds of worlds. Trade agreements were being discussed, scientific discoveries shared, and cultural understanding deepened with each conversation. As they watched, a group of young delegates from different species laughed together, a scene that would have been unimaginable just a year earlier. They represented a new generation that saw beyond old divisions and feared differences. Dury turned to Dr. Park, his crystalline form catching the light. "You have changed everything," he said simply. There was no hint of the previous hostility or suspicion, just genuine respect. Dr. Park knew this was just the beginning. The Galactic Cooperative was an experiment, a delicate balance that would require continuous effort, understanding, and communication. But for now, they had achieved something remarkable, a moment of true connection across the vast, diverse universe. As the station continued its silent orbit around Earth, it symbolized hope. Hope that different beings could come together, learn from each other, and create something greater than themselves. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter, witnessing this new chapter in galactic history.